I was sitting at my son's perfect wedding, roses everywhere, champagne flowing, my grandson Noah tugging my sleeve with that sweet whisper, "Grandma, look under the table." I thought it was just a kid's game until I lifted the cloth and saw it. A secret envelope taped right above my lap. My initials. No name. Just a single photo inside that turned my blood to ice. One picture, one message. And suddenly, the bride I welcomed as family wasn't who she said she was. A hidden marriage, a life insurance policy worth millions, a man who followed us to an island. What started as the happiest day of my life became the most terrifying. This is the true story no one saw coming. Watch till the end. You won't believe what one child's whisper saved us from.
I've always believed that the best days of your life arrive without fanfare. No trumpets, no warning lights flashing in your peripheral vision. They just settle over you like a soft blanket on a cool September afternoon. That's how Ryan's wedding felt at first. The Willow Creek Country Club sits on a gentle hill about 20 miles west of Boston, all manicured lawns and white-columned verandas that look like they've been waiting 100 years for someone to get married on them. In late September 2025, the air carried that perfect New England bite, crisp enough to make you grateful for the cashmere wrap over my shoulders, warm enough that the roses were still blooming in defiant pink and cream clusters along the garden paths. Golden light slanted through the tents, turning champagne flutes into tiny prisms on every table. I sat at the family table, position of honor near the head table, close enough to smell the vanilla in the towering wedding cake and hear the low hum of conversation from Ryan and Sophia's blended kids. My son, 45, broad-shouldered, finally smiling again after 8 brutal years of single father life, looked like a man who just remembered how to breathe. He kept stealing glances at Sophia as though he still couldn't believe she'd said yes. She was 38, dark-haired and graceful in a way that made every movement look intentional, her ivory lace gown catching the light like sea foam. Around her neck hung the simple pearl strand I'd given her at the rehearsal dinner. She'd hugged me then and whispered, "You're the mother I always wished I had." I believed her. Noah, her 7-year-old son from a relationship she never talked much about, had claimed the chair right beside mine the moment we sat down. He'd arrived with his bow tie already askew and a smudge of chocolate on his sleeve from sneaking a pre-dinner truffle. "Grandma," he'd said solemnly as he climbed up, "you tell the best stories, better than anybody." I'd ruffled his hair and told him he was my favorite audience. The ceremony had been simple and heartfelt under a wooden arbor draped in ivy. Ryan's teenagers, 16-year-old Mia and 14-year-old Ethan, stood beside their dad, looking a little awkward in their formal clothes, but genuinely happy. When Ryan and Sophia exchanged vows, I felt tears prick my eyes. Not the dramatic kind, just the quiet gratitude that comes when you realize your child has found safe harbor after years of storms. By the time the reception hit its stride, the band was playing soft jazz standards, the dance floor was half full, and the smell of seared filet mignon lingered pleasantly in the air. Plates had been cleared, coffee poured, toasts made. Ryan's best man, his college roommate, had cracked everyone up with stories about their misspent youth. Sophia's maid of honor read a poem about second chances that made half the room reach for tissues. I was nursing my second glass of champagne, letting the bubbles tickle my tongue, when I felt a small tug on my sleeve. Noah's hand was warm and insistent. "Grandma," he whispered, leaning so close his breath brushed my ear. "Look under the table." I smiled without thinking. Noah was forever inventing games. Last Christmas, he'd hidden a plastic dinosaur in my coat pocket and waited 3 days for me to find it. "What is it this time, sweetheart?" I murmured back, keeping my voice light. "Pirate treasure? A sleeping kitten?" His dark eyes, Sophia's eyes, didn't crinkle with mischief. They were wide, almost too wide, the way a child's get when they've seen something they don't fully understand, but know is wrong. "Just look," he said,
Please. The please did it. That single word carried a weight no 7-year-old should have to carry. I glanced around the table first. Ryan and Sophia were out on the dance floor now, swaying slowly to At Last, her head resting against his shoulder, his hand gentle at the small of her back. Mia and Ethan were at the dessert table, arguing good-naturedly over the last chocolate-covered strawberry. The other guests, cousins, old neighbors, a few of Ryan's colleagues, were lost in their own conversations, laughter rising and falling like waves. No one was watching us. I lifted the long white tablecloth just enough to duck my head underneath. The space beneath was dim, shadowed by chair legs and the fall of linen. At first, I saw only shoes, polished Oxfords, strappy heels, a child's small sneakers with untied laces, a few stray napkins, a dropped fork glinting silver. Then my eyes adjusted. Taped neatly to the underside of the tabletop, right above where my knees had rested all through dinner, was a small white envelope. No address label, no stamp, just my initials in thick black marker, E.H. My heart didn't flutter. It slammed. I sat up slowly, schooling my face into the same polite smile I'd worn all day. Noah was watching me, lower lip caught between his teeth. "Did you put that there?" I asked under my breath. He shook his head fast, once, twice. "No, I saw the man do it." "What man?" "Before the speeches, when everybody went outside for pictures. He crawled under the table. Tall guy, black suit. He kept looking at Dad, like he was really mad." A thin thread of ice slid down my spine. I reached under again, fingers steadier than I felt, and peeled the envelope free. The tape came away easily, as though it had been placed with care. The envelope was sealed, no bulge, just flat and ordinary. I slipped it into my purse, Burberry, the one Ryan bought me for my 70th birthday, and smoothed the tablecloth back into place. The band switched to something upbeat. Couples drifted onto the floor. I forced myself to clap along when the DJ announced the cake cutting, to laugh when Ryan smeared a dab of frosting on Sophia's nose. I posed for photos, hugged distant relatives, accepted compliments on how radiant I looked for my age. But underneath it all, my mind was racing in tight, frantic circles. Who leaves an anonymous envelope under a wedding table? Why me? And how had a 7-year-old boy noticed it when 200 adults had not? That night, after the last string lights were unplugged and the venue staff began stacking chairs, I sat in my hotel room on the 10th floor of the Seaport Hotel, staring out at the dark ribbon of the Charles River. Ryan and Sophia had retired to the honeymoon suite upstairs. Noah was asleep on the pull-out sofa in my room, his small body curled under the blanket like a comma, breathing soft and even. I waited until the clock on the nightstand read 1:17 a.m. Then I opened my purse. The envelope felt heavier than it should have. I slid my thumbnail under the flap and tore it open. One photograph slid out. Cheap printer paper, slightly curled at the edges. Sophia, younger, hair shorter, standing outside what looked like a courthouse in Providence. Her arm was linked through a man. Tall, dark-haired, sharp jaw, black suit. The same description Noah had given.
On the back, in the same black marker, "She never divorced him. Ask Ryan about the life insurance policy he signed last month." The room tilted. I pressed a hand to my chest, feeling the wild gallop beneath my ribs. Sophia was still married, and Ryan, my careful, thoughtful son, had recently taken out a life insurance policy, with her as beneficiary. I looked across the room at Noah's sleeping form. He'd seen the man plant the note. He'd heard things, maybe seen things in the months leading up to today. The whisper under the table hadn't been a game. It had been a warning, and I had no idea who sent it or why. The hotel room smelled faintly of lemon cleaner and the lavender candle I'd lit earlier to calm my nerves. It didn't work. The clock on the nightstand glowed 1:42 a.m., the only sound besides the distant hum of traffic on the Seaport Boulevard below. Noah hadn't stirred since I tucked him in at 10:30. His small hand still clutched the corner of the blanket the way he used to when he was 4 and scared of thunderstorms. I sat on the edge of the king bed, purse open on my lap like a Pandora's box I couldn't close again. The envelope lay in my palm, plain white, no watermark, the kind you buy in packs of 50 at Staples for under $5. My initials stared back at me in bold Sharpie strokes, E.H. Whoever wrote them had pressed hard enough to leave faint indents on the paper beneath. I slid my fingernail under the flap again, even though I'd already torn it open once. The single photograph slipped out and landed face up on the duvet.
Sophia. She looked maybe 28 in the picture, her hair cropped shorter than I'd ever seen it, the kind of practical cut you get when life is moving too fast for blowouts. She wore a navy blazer over a white blouse, the collar turned up against what must have been a chilly day. Her arm was looped through a man's in a way that suggested familiarity, comfortable, possessive. He was tall, easily 6'2", with dark hair swept back and a jawline sharp enough to cut glass. Black suit, white shirt, no tie. The background was unmistakably a courthouse. Granite steps, brass handrails, the kind of place where endings get stamped and filed. I flipped the photo over. The message was written in the same black marker, same heavy hand. She never divorced him. Ask Ryan about the life insurance policy he signed last month. My first instinct was denial, a cruel prank, a disgruntled ex-guest from the country club, someone who'd seen the wedding announcement in the Boston Globe and decided to stir trouble. But the details were too precise. The insurance policy, last month, that wasn't public knowledge. I set the photo down carefully, as if it might burn me, and reached for my phone. My hands were steadier than I expected. Years of raising a son alone after Tom died had taught me how to keep moving even when the ground shook. I opened my contacts and scrolled to Margaret O'Connell. She'd retired from the Massachusetts State Police Detective Bureau 8 years ago, but she still consulted on cold cases and missing persons for a private firm in Cambridge. We'd been friends since our kids were in diapers. She'd been the one to sit with me in the ER the night Tom's heart gave out. I texted instead of calling. It was late, but Margaret never slept more than 5 hours anyway. Margaret, it's Eleanor. Need your eyes on something urgent. Can you look into a name for me tomorrow? Photo attached. Man with Sophia. Also, check if Ryan added a life insurance policy recently. Don't tell him I ask. I attached the photo, front and back, then set the phone face down on the nightstand. Waiting felt like drowning in slow motion. I stood and walked to the window. The Charles River was a black mirror under the city lights, dotted with the red blink of a late-night commuter boat. I tried to replay the day in my mind, searching for anything out of place. The tall man in the black suit Noah had described, had I seen him? There'd been so many people in suits. Groomsmen, ushers, Ryan's colleagues from the architecture firm. Any one of them could have slipped under the table during the outdoor photos. The moment everyone spilled onto the lawn for group shots, the ballroom had been nearly empty for 20 minutes. Noah had noticed, a child with no agenda, no reason to lie. He tugged my sleeve because he trusted me to handle whatever monster lived under the table. I glanced back at him. His breathing was slow, peaceful. Whatever he'd seen, whatever he'd heard in the months leading up to today, he hadn't told his mother. He'd told me. That trust felt heavier than the photograph. I returned to the bed and picked up the picture again, studied the man's face. There was something familiar about the set of his mouth, the slight downward tilt at the corners, like he was always 1 second away from sneering. I couldn't place it, but it nagged at me the way a half-remembered name does. My phone buzzed. Margaret, faster than I'd expected. Got it. Sending you what I can pull tonight. Call me tomorrow 9 a.m. sharp. This isn't nothing, Ellie. Attached were 2 screenshots. First, a Rhode Island court docket summary from 2014. Sophia Marie Delgado, her maiden name, I'd never known it was Delgado, versus Victor Raymond Lang. Petition for divorce filed October 17, 2014. Grounds, irreconcilable differences. Temporary separation order granted November 3rd. Then, nothing. No final decree, no dismissal. The case simply stopped moving. The last entry was a notice of hearing scheduled for February 2015 that had been continued at the request of the petitioner. No further activity.
Second screenshot, a quick database poll from a public records aggregator. Victor Raymond Lang, DOB 1982, last known address in Warwick, Rhode Island. No arrests in Massachusetts, but a 2019 civil judgment in Providence County for unpaid child support. Case dismissed after payment. The child's name was redacted, but the mother was listed as Sophia M. Lang. Lang, not Delgado. She'd never changed it back. My mouth went dry. I stared at the sleeping boy again. Noah Lang? Or had Sophia given him her maiden name on the birth certificate to keep things clean? I didn't know. I didn't know anything anymore. The life insurance. That was the part that made my stomach twist into knots. Ryan had always been meticulous about money. 401ks maxed, college funds started early for the kids, term life policies reviewed every few years. He wouldn't add a new policy on a whim. And $2 million? That wasn't casual just in case. That was replace the family income money. Sophia had asked him to do it. I was sure of it now. The note hadn't said Ryan took out a policy. It said the life insurance policy he signed, implying someone had guided his pen. I folded the photograph and slid it back into the envelope, then tucked the whole thing into the zippered compartment of my purse. My fingers brushed the small canister of pepper spray I kept there, habit from years of driving alone at night. For the first time in decades, I wished I carried a gun. Morning came too soon. Sunlight sliced through the half-closed blinds at 6:45. Noah woke with a yawn and immediately asked for pancakes. I ordered room service, extra bacon for him, black coffee for me, and sat on the sofa while he colored at the little table by the window. When my phone rang at exactly 9 o'clock, I stepped into the bathroom and closed the door. Margaret. Ellie. Her voice was low, careful. You sitting down? I'm standing in a hotel bathroom staring at my own reflection looking like I've seen a ghost. Close enough. She exhaled. Victor Lang is bad news. Not cartel bad, but persistent. He's got a gambling problem. Online sportsbooks, mostly. Owes money to people who don't like IOUs. The divorce never finalized because he kept stalling the paperwork, demanding more in the settlement. Sophia walked away without it, changed her name back quietly, moved to Boston, started over, met Ryan 2 years ago through a work friend. And the bigamy? Technically, yes. If she married Ryan without the decree, it's voidable at best, criminal at worst, depending on intent. But here's the kicker. Lang's been in touch with her. Phone records show calls from a burner to her cell going back 6 months. Short calls, late at night. My guy pulled what he could without a warrant. She always answered. I leaned against the sink. The porcelain was cold through my robe. And the insurance?
Ryan's agent is a friend of a friend. Policy signed September 4th, 3 weeks ago. $2 million term life. Accidental death rider doubles it if it's ruled an accident. Beneficiary change form lists Sophia Hayes as primary, with the kids as contingents. Ryan told the agent it was peace of mind for the honeymoon. They're going to Nantucket next week. I closed my eyes. She asked him to do it. Looks that way. Or he offered and she didn't say no. Silence stretched between us. Margaret, what do I do? You breathe. You don't confront anyone yet. Let me dig deeper. See if Lang's been anywhere near the wedding venue. I'll call you tomorrow with more. In the meantime, keep that photo safe and keep Noah close. I nodded even though she couldn't see me. He's the one who found it. Tugged my sleeve and whispered to look under the table. A pause. Smart kid. Listen to him, Ellie. Kids see what adults pretend not to. I ended the call and stared at myself in the mirror. 72 years old. Widowed. Retired librarian, mother of 1, grandmother of 3, and now, apparently, the only person standing between my son and a very expensive mistake. I opened the bathroom door. Noah looked up from his coloring book, a dragon with half its wings filled in green crayon. Grandma, you okay? I forced a smile. I'm fine, sweetheart. Just talking to an old friend. He tilted his head. The man who put the envelope, he's not coming back, right? My heart squeezed. I'm going to make sure he doesn't. Noah nodded once, satisfied, and went back to his dragon. I sat beside him and watched the crayon move in careful strokes. The wedding photos would arrive in a few weeks. Smiling faces, perfect poses, memories we'd frame and hang on walls. But under the table, taped in the dark, a different picture had already been developed. And it was only the beginning. The rest of that Sunday morning passed in slow, deliberate normalcy, the kind you force when everything underneath is cracking. Noah ate 3 pancakes drowned in syrup, colored the rest of his dragon, now breathing bright orange fire, and asked if we could go to the hotel pool before checkout. I said yes, because saying no would have required explaining something I wasn't ready to explain, even to myself. While he splashed in the shallow end under the watchful eye of a teenage lifeguard, I sat on a lounge chair with my phone hidden behind a paperback I wasn't reading. Margaret had texted again at 8:47. 2 things. First, Victor Lang was in Boston last weekend. Credit card hit at a gas station in Quincy Friday night, then a motel in Dedham Saturday, close enough to Willow Creek to make the drive in 20 minutes. Second, I got eyes on Sophia's phone records through a contact. She deleted calls from a 401 number. Burner, probably his, but the timestamps line up with nights Ryan worked late. She answered every time. Duration, 2 to 7 minutes. No texts recovered yet. I stared at the screen until the words blurred. Quincy, Dedham. Places I drove past every time I visited Ryan in the city. Close. Too close.
I typed back, "Can you get security footage from the country club? The envelope guy crawled under during outdoor photos. Someone might have seen him." "Already on it. Club manager owes me a favor from a theft case in 19. I'll let you know." I slipped the phone into my bag and watched Noah cannonball into the water, arms windmilling. He surfaced laughing, hair plastered to his forehead. For a second, I let myself pretend this was just another weekend visit. Pancakes, pool, the promise of ice cream later. Then I remembered the photograph in my purse, and the illusion shattered like glass underfoot. Checkout was at noon. Ryan texted to say he and Sophia were still at the hotel spa. Sophia's getting a massage, I'm pretending to read emails, and asked if I could keep Noah until dinner. They'd pick him up at my house in Newton around 6. Perfect. More time. The drive home was quiet. Noah dozed in the back seat, seatbelt snug, small sneakers kicked off onto the floor mat. I kept the radio off. My thoughts were loud enough. By the time we pulled into my driveway, the same 2-story colonial Tom and I bought in 1982, brick faded to a soft rose, maple tree in front still holding on to a few red leaves, the questions had hardened into decisions. I carried Noah inside, settled him on the couch with a blanket and cartoons, then went straight to the small office off the kitchen. It used to be Tom's study, now it was mine, lined with bookshelves and the old oak desk where I balanced checkbooks and wrote Christmas cards. I locked the door behind me. First, I scanned the photograph, front and back, into my laptop and emailed the files to Margaret with a note. "For your records, keep originals safe." Then I opened a new browser window in private mode, as if that really mattered anymore, and started searching. Sophia Delgado Lang, Providence, 2014. The Rhode Island court website was clunky, but public. I found the case number from Margaret's screenshot and pulled up the docket again. Same dead end. Continued hearing, no final entry. I searched Victor's name next. A few hits: old LinkedIn profile, inactive since 2018, listed as independent consultant, a Facebook page set to private, and a mention in a 2021 Providence Journal article about a charity poker tournament where he'd placed third. Nothing criminal on the surface.
Then I searched Ryan's name with life insurance. Nothing useful. Insurance isn't public record unless there's a claim. But I remembered the agent's name from years ago, Paul Whitaker at New England Mutual. Ryan had used him since college. I found Paul's direct line on the company site and dialed before I could talk myself out of it. "Whitaker speaking." "Paul, it's Eleanor Hayes, Ryan's mother." A beat of surprise, then warmth. Mrs. Hayes, good to hear from you. How's family? Fine. Listen, Paul, I need to ask something confidential. Ryan added a policy recently. 2 million term? He hesitated. I could almost hear him glancing at the door. I can't discuss client details without. I know. I'm not asking for confirmation. I'm asking if he mentioned why, or if anyone else was in the room when he signed. Another pause. Longer. He came in alone, said it was for the new marriage, wanted the accidental writer because they're traveling. Seemed normal. Happy, even. But he did ask about payout timelines, how fast it processes if something happens out of state. My throat tightened. Did he say anything about Sophia being there?
No, just that she'd feel better knowing the kids were protected. I thanked him, promised to send holiday cookies like always, and hung up. My hand stayed on the receiver for a long moment. Next, the country club. I called the front desk myself. The wedding coordinator, Lisa, remembered me immediately. Mrs. Hayes, such a beautiful day, wasn't it? And patched me to the security office when I said I'd lost an earring near the head table and wondered if cameras caught anything useful. The security guy, young, polite, probably 25, pulled footage while I waited on hold. When he came back, his tone had shifted from friendly to cautious. We've got clear shots of the ballroom during the outdoor photo session. One guest did go under the head table. Tall guy, black suit, dark hair. Crawled in from the side entrance, stayed maybe 30 seconds, came out the same way. Didn't take anything visible, just placed something. We can't see what. Did you recognize him? No, ma'am, not on the guest list. He didn't come through the main entrance with an invite. Slipped in during the cocktail hour, we think. We've got him on exterior cam walking across the parking lot toward Route 9. No plates visible, too far. I asked if they'd saved the clip. He said yes, per club policy on any unusual activity. I gave him Margaret's contact information. She's a friend helping me look for the earring, and thanked him. When I hung up, my pulse was steady but fast, like I'd been running uphill. Noah knocked softly on the office door. Grandma, can we have grilled cheese? I opened the door, smiled down at him. Of course, sweetheart. Tomato soup too? He nodded, eyes searching my face the way only children can, seeing worry you haven't named yet. You're thinking hard again. I am, I admitted, but it's okay, grown-up stuff. He didn't push, just followed me to the kitchen and climbed onto a stool while I buttered bread. While the sandwiches sizzled, my phone buzzed. Margaret. Footage confirms, Victor Lang. Same build, same walk. He left the club at 4:12 p.m., right after photos started. Motel check-in at 5:03 in Dedham. He's back in Rhode Island now, cell pinged in Warwick this morning. I'm sending you stills from the video. One more thing. The burner number called Sophia again last night at 11:40. Call lasted 4 minutes. She was still at the hotel with Ryan. I stared at the grilled cheese browning in the pan. The edges were crisping perfectly. Domestic. Safe. But safety felt thinner now, like paper held too close to flame. Ryan and Sophia arrived at 6 sharp. They looked rested, glowing. Honeymoon preview. Sophia hugged me tight, smelled like jasmine and spa lotion. Ryan kissed my cheek, ruffled Noah's hair. Thanks for watching him, Mom. We owe you. I smiled. Anytime. They didn't stay long. Noah chattered about the pool. Sophia promised a special bedtime story when they got home. I watched them drive away, taillights fading down the quiet street. Then I locked the front door, deadbolt and chain. Back in the office, I opened Margaret's email. 3 stills attached. First, Victor under the table, arm extended, pressing the envelope into place. Face half turned but unmistakable. Second, him emerging, glancing toward the dance floor where Ryan and Sophia were posing for a photo. Third, him slipping out the side door, shoulders tense, hands in pockets. I printed them, tucked them into a manila folder with the original photograph. Then I sat at the desk in the dark, only the desk lamp on, and stared at the folder. Tomorrow, Ryan would go back to work, Sophia would take Noah to school. Life would look normal. But I knew better now. Someone had sent me a flare in the middle of a wedding, and I wasn't about to let it burn out before I found the fire. Monday morning arrived like any other in Newton. Gray sky threatening rain, the neighbor's sprinkler ticking over the last of the summer grass, school buses rumbling past with their red lights flashing. I woke at 6, made coffee in the old percolator Tom loved, and sat at the kitchen table with the manila folder open in front of me. The printed stills from the country club security camera stared back. Victor Lang's half-shadowed face under the table, his hand pressing the envelope into place, then him slipping out the side door like smoke. I hadn't slept much. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Noah's small hand tugging my sleeve, heard his whisper again, "Look under the table." A child shouldn't have to carry warnings like that. By 8:30, Noah was at school, dropped off by Ryan on his way to the office, and the house felt too quiet. I called Margaret again. Anything new? She didn't waste time on hello. Got the burner number traced to a prepaid bought with cash at a CVS in Warwick 3 months ago. No name attached, naturally. But the calls to Sophia stopped after the wedding. Last one was Saturday night, 4 minutes. Nothing since. Either he's lying low or he got what he wanted by dropping the note on you. He wanted me to blow it up, I said. Force a confrontation. Looks that way. Question is, why you? Why not Ryan directly or Sophia herself? I traced the edge of one of the stills with my finger. Because he knew I'd believe it, and he knew I wouldn't let it go. Margaret made a low sound of agreement. I'm pulling Lang's financials next, quietly. If he's desperate enough to blackmail at a wedding, he's probably bleeding money. Might give us leverage. We hung up. I spent the morning doing ordinary things. Laundry, watering the porch geraniums, wiping down counters that didn't need it, while my mind ran parallel tracks. One track planned dinner, the other planned how to survive it. I texted Ryan at noon. Dinner tonight? Just the 4 of us, plus Noah. Pot roast, your favorite. 6:30? His reply came fast. Sounds perfect. Sophia's been saying she misses your cooking. We'll bring wine. I stared at the message. Misses my cooking. The phrase felt rehearsed, like lines from a script she'd practiced in the mirror. The afternoon blurred. I browned the chuck roast, chopped carrots and onions, added red wine and rosemary the way my mother taught me 4 years ago. The house filled with the smell of comfort food, the kind that's supposed to make everything right. I set the table with the good china, white with gold rims, wedding gift from Tom's parents, and lit candles even though it was still light outside. Atmosphere, I told myself, not ambush. They arrived at 6:25, Ryan first, carrying a bottle of Cabernet and Noah on his hip like he was still a toddler. Sophia followed, hair loose, wearing a soft green sweater that matched her eyes. She hugged me longer than usual. Thank you for this, Eleanor. After the whirlwind weekend, it feels grounding. I smiled back, letting nothing show. Family's grounding. Come in. Noah ran to the living room to play with the wooden train set I kept for him. Ryan opened the wine, while Sophia helped me carry serving dishes to the table. We talked about small things, the honeymoon plans for Nantucket, how Mia had aced her chemistry test, Ethan's new obsession with skateboarding. Safe topics, surface topics. Dinner was served at 7. The pot roast fell apart with a fork, potatoes creamy, gravy rich. Everyone ate. Conversation slowed. I watched Sophia's hands, how they moved gracefully, how she touched Ryan's arm when she laughed, how she glanced at Noah every few minutes as if checking he was still there. Halfway through the meal, Ryan raised his glass. To new beginnings, he said, looking at Sophia with that soft, unguarded look I hadn't seen on him in years. We clinked. I sipped. The wine tasted like iron. Then Noah piped up from his booster seat. Grandma found something at the wedding. The table stilled. Ryan frowned. What do you mean, bud? Noah looked at me, eyes wide and earnest. Under the table, the white thing. You looked, Grandma. Sophia's fork paused mid-air. Her smile stayed in place, but something flickered behind it, quick, like a fish darting underwater. I set my napkin down slowly. Yes, I did. Ryan glanced between us. Mom? I reached into the pocket of my cardigan and pulled out the envelope. Not the original, I'd locked that in the safe upstairs, but a photocopy of the front, just the initials EH visible. I slid it across the table toward Ryan. He picked it up, confused. "What is this?" "Open it." He did. The photocopied photograph slid out, Sophia and Victor outside the courthouse, arms linked. Ryan's face changed in stages: confusion, recognition, disbelief, then something darker. Sophia went pale. "Ryan!" He didn't look at her. He stared at the picture, then flipped it over. The message was there too. She never divorced him. Ask Ryan about the life insurance policy he signed last month. The room was so quiet, I could hear the refrigerator humming in the kitchen. Ryan's voice came out low. "What the hell is this?" Sophia set her fork down with a soft clink. "It's not what it looks like." "Then explain it," Ryan said, "because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're still married to someone else, and someone knows it, and they wanted my mother to know first." Noah shrank back in his chair. I reached over and squeezed his hand under the table. He clung to my fingers. Sophia's eyes filled. "I was going to tell you, after the honeymoon. Victor, he wouldn't sign the final papers. He kept asking for more money. I thought if we married here, if it was real, I could force the court to finish it. I didn't want to lose you." Ryan laughed once, short and bitter. "Lose me? You married me while you were still married to him. That's not losing, Sophia. That's lying."
"I love you," she whispered. "I thought I could fix it quietly." Ryan looked at me. "The insurance. You knew about that too?" I nodded. I asked around. 2 million, accidental death double indemnity, signed 3 weeks ago. He turned to Sophia. "You asked me to add it, said it would make you feel safe for the kids." She didn't deny it. Tears spilled over. I was scared. Victor kept calling, threatening to tell you everything if I didn't pay him. I thought, if something happened, the money would protect Noah and Mia and Ethan. Ryan pushed back from the table so hard his chair scraped the floor. If something happened to me. Sophia reached for him. He stepped away. Noah started to cry, quiet, hiccuping sobs. I pulled him onto my lap. "It's okay, sweetheart." Ryan paced to the window, hands in his hair. "Who sent this? Who took the picture?" I kept my voice steady. "Victor. He was at the wedding, crawled under the table during the outdoor photos. Noah saw him." Sophia's head snapped up. "Noah?" The boy buried his face in my shoulder. "He looked mad," he mumbled. "He looked at Dad like he hated him." Ryan stopped pacing, looked at his stepson now, legally or not, with something like pain. "You knew?" Noah nodded against me. Sophia covered her mouth. "I didn't know he saw. I told Victor to stay away. I told him we were done." Ryan's laugh was hollow. Apparently not. Silence stretched again, thick and suffocating. Finally, Ryan spoke. "I need air." He walked out the back door. The screen slammed softly behind him. Sophia stayed seated, tears streaming. "Eleanor, I never meant to hurt him or you." I looked at her, really looked. The woman I'd welcomed into my family. The woman who'd called me mom in quiet moments. The woman who might have planned something far worse than bigamy. "I believe you didn't mean to hurt him," I said carefully. "But intentions don't change facts, and facts say you lied to all of us." She nodded, broken. I held Noah tighter. "Go home tonight, both of you. Ryan needs space. I'll keep Noah here until things settle." Sophia didn't argue. She gathered her purse, kissed Noah's head, he turned away, and walked out after Ryan. I heard their car start, then pull away. The house settled back into quiet. The candles still burned, pot roast cooling on plates. I carried Noah upstairs, tucked him into the guest bed with his favorite stuffed whale. He fell asleep, clutching my hand. Downstairs, I blew out the candles one by one. Then I went to the office, opened the safe, and took out the original envelope. I stared at the photograph again. Victor had wanted chaos. He'd gotten it, but he hadn't counted on me. and I wasn't finished digging.
The next 3 days felt like walking on cracked ice, every step careful, every crack widening underfoot. Ryan moved back into the guest room at his own house. Sophia slept in the master bedroom alone. Noah shuttled between them like a small, confused ambassador, carrying drawings and questions no one could answer fully. I kept him with me most afternoons after school, baking cookies, reading chapter books, letting him talk when he wanted and sit quietly when he didn't. He asked once, in a whisper, if his mom was still married to the madman. I told him the truth as gently as I could. Grown-ups make mistakes, and sometimes those mistakes take time to fix. He nodded, then went back to building a Lego castle, brick by brick, as if order could be rebuilt the same way. Ryan came over Thursday evening after work. He looked 10 years older, dark circles under his eyes, tie loosened like he'd been tugging at it all day. We sat on the back porch with mugs of decaf while Noah played in the yard chasing fireflies that had appeared early this fall. "I filed for annulment this morning," he said without preamble. "Lawyer says the bigamy makes it straightforward. No contested assets, no shared property. Just void." I nodded. "And Sophia?" "She's cooperating. Signed the papers without a fight. Says she wants what's best for Noah, for all the kids." He rubbed his face. "I don't know if I believe her anymore, Mom. I look at her and I see the woman who asks me to buy that policy. I see the calls she answered at midnight. I see Victor's face in that photo and wonder how long she let him stay in the picture." "Have you talked to her about the money he wanted?" "She says 50,000. Said he threatened to ruin the wedding if she didn't pay. Said she was going to sell her car, dip into savings, anything to make him go away. But she never told me, never asked for help, just kept it secret." I sipped my coffee, letting the warmth settle in my hands. "Secrets have weight, Ryan. They press down until something breaks." He looked out at Noah, who was now lying on his back in the grass, arms spread, staring at the darkening sky. "I keep thinking about Nantucket. We were supposed to leave Saturday. The reservations are still there, the ferry tickets. I canceled the hotel once, then uncanceled when she begged me to give us one last chance to talk it through. Now, I don't know." "Don't go," I said quietly. "Not yet."
He turned to me, surprised. "You think?" "I think Victor isn't finished. He didn't plant that note just to watch the marriage implode from afar. He wanted chaos, and chaos isn't clean. It leaves loose ends." Ryan's jaw tightened. "You think he'd hurt someone?" "I think desperate people do desperate things, and $2 million is a lot of desperation fuel." He exhaled hard. "The policy. I'm canceling it tomorrow. Already called Paul. He's processing the withdrawal." "Good." We sat in silence a while longer. Fireflies blinked like tiny lanterns. Noah called out, "Grandma, look, I caught one." He ran over with cupped hands, a faint green glow leaking between his fingers. Ryan forced a smile. "Show me, bud." Noah opened his palms. The firefly lifted off, spiraling upward into the night. We watched it disappear. "Make a wish," Ryan said softly. Noah closed his eyes, lips moving without sound. When he opened them again, he looked at me. "I wished we could all stay together, like before the wedding." My throat closed. Ryan pulled him into a hug, chin resting on Noah's head. "We'll figure it out, okay? Promise." Noah nodded against his chest. After they left, Ryan taking Noah home for the night, I went inside and locked the doors. Then I called Margaret. "Any movement on Victor?" She answered on the first ring. "He's been quiet. No new calls to Sophia's phone. But his credit card pinged yesterday. Gas in Fall River, Massachusetts. That's north of Providence, on the way to Boston. Then nothing. Could be coincidence. Could be he's driving up for round 2. Round 2? Blackmail doesn't usually stop at one drop. He got the bomb planted. Now he waits to see if it explodes. If it doesn't go off the way he wants, he lights another fuse. I paced the kitchen. Ryan's talking about going to Nantucket anyway, to talk things through. Margaret swore under her breath. Tell him no. Better yet, tell him I'll tail them if they go. I've still got contacts on the island, old friends from the force who retired up there. They can keep an eye out. I'll try, but he's stubborn when he's hurting. Like mother, like son. I almost smiled. Almost. Friday morning brought rain, steady gray sheets that turned the maple leaves to sodden clumps on the lawn. Ryan called at 10.
Sophia wants to go tomorrow. Says a week away might clear our heads. No pressure, just time to breathe. Noah can stay with you. I gripped the phone. Ryan, listen to me. Victor was in Fall River yesterday. Margaret tracked his card. That's not far. If you go to Nantucket, you're isolated. Ferry schedules, small island, limited exits. If something happens, nothing's going to happen, he cut in, but his voice lacked conviction. I'm not an idiot, Mom. I'm watching her. And I'm not taking the policy with me. It's already being canceled. Canceling takes time, paperwork. If he thinks there's still a payout. I'm not living in fear, he said. Not anymore. I closed my eyes. Then take precautions. Tell the police. File a report on Victor. Harassment, blackmail, trespassing at the wedding. Give them the photo, the footage. Let them put out a bolo. Silence on his end. Then I'll think about it. He hung up. I spent the afternoon with Noah at the house. We made popcorn, watched an old Disney movie, built blanket forts, but my mind was elsewhere, on ferries, on foggy cliffs, on a man in a black suit who hated my son enough to ruin his wedding day. The next 3 days felt like walking on cracked ice, every step careful, every crack widening underfoot. Ryan moved back into the guest room at his own house. Sophia slept in the master bedroom alone. Noah shuttled between them like a small, confused ambassador, carrying drawings and questions no one could answer fully. I kept him with me most afternoons after school, baking cookies, reading chapter books, letting him talk when he wanted and sit quietly when he didn't. He asked once, in a whisper, if his mom was still married to the madman. I told him the truth as gently as I could. Grown-ups make mistakes, and sometimes those mistakes take time to fix. He nodded, then went back to building a Lego castle, brick by brick, as if order could be rebuilt the same way. Ryan came over Thursday evening after work. He looked 10 years older, dark circles under his eyes, tie loosened like he'd been tugging at it all day. We sat on the back porch with mugs of decaf while Noah played in the yard chasing fireflies that had appeared early this fall. I spent the day cleaning, mindless work to keep my hands busy. At 4 o'clock, my phone rang. Unknown number, Massachusetts area code. I answered. A man's voice, low and calm. Mrs. Hayes? Yes? This is Detective Ramirez, Cambridge PD. Your son filed a report regarding Victor Lang. We've got a sighting. Lang was pulled over in Hyannis an hour ago, speeding, heading toward the ferry terminal. He had a ticket for the 5:30 boat to Nantucket. No weapons visible, but he matched the description perfectly. My knees buckled. I sank into a chair. He's on his way to the island, I said. We've alerted Nantucket PD. They'll meet the ferry, but your son and his wife are already en route. Different boat, earlier departure. They're probably already there. I stood up. I'm going. Ma'am.
I'm going, I repeated. My grandson is on that island. My son is on that island. And the man who blackmailed them is following. Detective Ramirez paused. We'll have officers waiting. Call when you arrive. I hung up, grabbed my keys, my purse, the envelope still inside, and headed for the door. Nantucket was 3 hours away by car, plus the ferry. I didn't wait to pack. I just drove. Toward the water. Toward whatever waited on the other side. The drive to Hyannis was a blur of rain-slicked highways and taillights bleeding red in the dusk. I-95 north to Route 6, then the long stretch along the Cape Cod Peninsula, past strip malls, cranberry bogs, and the occasional glimpse of gray ocean through the pines. My old Subaru hummed steadily, the heater blasting to keep the chill out of my bones. I didn't stop except once, at a rest area near Plymouth, where I bought a large black coffee and used the restroom. My reflection in the fluorescent-lit mirror looked like a stranger. Eyes wide, mouth set in a thin line, hair escaping its bun in wisps of silver. I reached the Hyannis Ferry Terminal at 7:12 p.m., just as the last boat of the day was loading. The Steamship Authority dock smelled of diesel and salt, the air thick with the metallic tang of impending storm. I parked in the long-term lot, grabbed my purse, the envelope still zipped inside, and hurried toward the ticket window. The clerk, a young woman with a ponytail and a name tag reading Kayla, glanced up. "Last ferry to Nantucket tonight leaves in 15 minutes. One way or a round trip?" "One way," I said, "and I need to get on it." She typed, frowned. "We've got space, but it's the slow boat, 3.5 hours. Weather's kicking up, might be rough." "I'll take it." I paid with my credit card, pocketed the ticket, and walked through the terminal. Families dragged suitcases, kids clutched stuffed animals, couples held hands against the wind whipping off the water. I scanned faces, looking for Victor's sharp jaw, his dark hair. Nothing. If he'd made the 5:30 boat, he was already on the island. I boarded the Eagle, found a seat near the windows on the starboard side, and texted Ryan. "On the ferry to Nantucket, arriving around 11. Where are you?" No reply. Signal was spotty already. I tried Sophia next. Same result. Then Margaret. "Ferry just left Hyannis. Victor was spotted heading to the terminal earlier. Cambridge PD alerted Nantucket. Call me when you can." She called back almost immediately. "Ellie, you're on the boat?" "Yes." "Jesus. Listen, Nantucket PD has officers meeting the incoming ferries tonight. They know Victor's description, they know the situation. Ryan and Sophia are checked into the White Elephant, oceanfront suite. I got the room number from a contact at the hotel, 214. They arrived this afternoon. No incidents reported yet." I pressed the phone harder to my ear as the engines rumbled and the boat eased away from the dock. "And Victor?" No confirmation he boarded the earlier ferry, but his car, a black Toyota Camry, was found parked illegally near the steamship lot in Hyannis, towed an hour ago. He either made the boat or he's still on the Cape. The terminal lights receded, swallowed by fog rolling in off the sound. What if he's already there? Then the police will find him. "Stay on the boat, Ellie. Don't go wandering when you dock. Call me the second you're off." "I will." The line crackled and died. I found the lounge. Dim lights, leather chairs, a fire crackling in the hearth. Ryan stood by the window, hands in his pockets. Sophia sat on the sofa, knees drawn up, clutching a throw blanket. Noah was asleep in her lap, thumb near his mouth. Ryan turned when he heard my footsteps. His face crumpled for a second. Relief, exhaustion, something like shame. "Mom?" I crossed the room and hugged him hard. He hugged back, shoulders shaking once before he pulled away. Sophia looked up. Her eyes were swollen. "You came." "Of course I came." Noah stirred, blinked awake. "Grandma?" I knelt beside the sofa, smoothed his hair. "Hey, sweetheart, I'm here." He sat up, rubbed his eyes. "Is the bad man here?" I glanced at Ryan. He shook his head slightly. "No." "Not yet," I said, "but the police are looking." Sophia exhaled shakily. "We didn't know what to do. We got here, checked in, had dinner. Then Ryan got your text. We've been waiting." Ryan rubbed the back of his neck. "I should have listened, shouldn't have come." I sat beside Sophia. Noah crawled into my lap. "What matters is we're all here now, and the police are outside." "Officers, I'm Eleanor Hayes. My son filed a report in Cambridge about Victor Lang." The taller one, name tag Sergeant Callahan, nodded. "Mrs. Hayes, we've been expecting you. Your friend, Detective Ramirez, called ahead. We've got a bolo out for Lang. No sighting yet. Your son and his wife are safe at the White Elephant. We've had a unit drive by twice since check-in. Quiet." Relief flooded me, thin and temporary. "Thank you. Can you take me there?" "We'll follow you. Better if you drive separately. Hotel's only 10 minutes. But stay on the main roads. Fog's bad tonight." I rented a car from the agency still open at the terminal, a small SUV with 4-wheel drive, and followed the patrol car through narrow streets lined with shingled cottages and cobblestones. Streetlights glowed like halos in the mist. The White Elephant sat on the harbor, white clapboard glowing softly, American flags snapping in the wind. I parked, thanked the officers, and walked into the lobby. Marble floors, nautical decor, the smell of wood polish and sea air. The night clerk looked up. "Checking in?" No, I'm here to see my son, Ryan Hayes, room 214. He hesitated, then picked up the house phone. One moment. He spoke quietly, listened, then hung up. They'll meet you in the lounge, through the doors on the right.
We talked in low voices for an hour, Ryan explaining the annulment papers were filed, Sophia admitting she'd blocked Victor's number after the wedding, but he'd used new burners. She swore she'd never planned anything violent, that the insurance was only for security, that she'd been terrified. I believed parts of it. The rest I filed away. At 1:30 a.m., Sergeant Callahan appeared in the doorway. "Mrs. Hayes, we've got him." My heart lurched. Victor Lang, picked up at the steamship terminal in Hyannis an hour ago, tried to buy a ticket for the late boat back to the mainland. No weapon, no luggage, just a backpack with cash and a burner phone. He's in custody. Cambridge PD is sending detectives down tomorrow. Relief hit like a wave. Ryan sagged against the wall. Sophia covered her mouth. Noah looked up at me. "Is it over?" I kissed his forehead. "Almost, sweetheart." We stayed in the lounge until dawn crept through the fog. The officers left a card, promised updates. Ryan booked me a room down the hall. We walked Sophia and Noah to theirs. She hugged me at the door. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything." I nodded. No forgiveness yet, but no hatred either. In my room, I collapsed onto the bed without changing. My phone buzzed. Margaret. "He's in holding. No priors violent enough for high bail, but the blackmail evidence is solid. He'll sit for a while." I texted back, "Thank you, we're safe." Then I closed my eyes. The island slept under fog. For the first time in days, I let myself believe it might stay that way. Sunlight sliced through the hotel curtains at 7:14 a.m., thin and pale, the kind of light that promises a clear day but still carries the chill of last night's fog. I woke stiff, neck aching from the unfamiliar pillow, the events of the ferry ride replaying in fragments. The rocking boat, the police lights at the dock, Victor's name on Sergeant Callahan's lips like a curse finally lifted. I showered quickly, dressed in yesterday's clothes, jeans, sweater, the same sensible flats I'd worn to drive, and checked my phone. 3 messages. "Ryan, we're up. Breakfast in the dining room at 8. Noah wants waffles." Margaret, "Victor's being held in Barnstable County on the Cape. Bail hearing this afternoon. Blackmail charges stick. Phone records, the wedding footage, your envelope. He's not going anywhere soon. Call if you need anything." Detective Ramirez, "Lang waived extradition. He'll be transported to Cambridge by end of week. Statement required from you and your grandson when convenient. Safe travels home." I exhaled, long and slow. The knot in my chest loosened, just a fraction. Downstairs, the White Elephant's dining room overlooked the harbor. White tablecloths, fresh flowers, the smell of coffee and bacon drifting from the open kitchen. Ryan sat at a corner table near the windows, Noah beside him, coloring on the back of a kid's menu. Sophia was at the buffet, filling a plate with fruit and yogurt. She looked smaller this morning, shoulders rounded, hair pulled into a loose ponytail. Noah saw me first. "Grandma!" He slid off his chair and ran over, hugging my legs. I lifted him for a quick squeeze, kissed the top of his head. "Morning, sweetheart. Sleep okay?" He nodded. "The bed's big, but I missed my whale. He's in the room." Ryan stood as I approached. His eyes were clearer than last night, though still shadowed. "Coffee's hot. Sit." I took the chair across from him. Sophia returned with her plate, set it down carefully, and offered a small smile. "Good morning, Eleanor." "Morning." We ordered waffles for Noah, eggs for Ryan, oatmeal for Sophia, toast and more coffee for me. The waitress left, and the silence settled like dust. Ryan broke it first. "They're keeping him. No bail until the hearing. Lawyer says the evidence is strong, especially the note with your initials. They're charging attempted extortion, trespassing, harassment. Maybe more if they dig into the insurance angle." I nodded. "Good." Sophia stared at her yogurt, spoon idle. "I gave them everything. Every burner number he used, every text I saved, every voicemail. I should have done it sooner." Ryan looked at her, long, searching.
Yeah, you should have. Noah glanced between them, sensing the tension. I reached over and squeezed his hand. Hey, why don't you tell me about the waffles? Are they the big ones with whipped cream? He brightened. They have chocolate chips if you ask. The food arrived. We ate in fits and starts. Small talk about the ferry ride, the weather, how Nantucket looked prettier in daylight. Noah chattered about seagulls and the lighthouse he wanted to see. The rest of us listened, grateful for the distraction. After breakfast, Ryan suggested a walk along the harbor path. The fog had burned off completely. The sky was a hard, bright blue, water sparkling like shattered glass. Noah ran ahead, collecting smooth stones to skip. Ryan and Sophia walked side by side, not touching, but not far apart either. I fell in step with them.
Ryan spoke quietly. I'm thinking about custody for Noah. Joint, probably. She's his mother. I can't take that away. But I want primary during the school year. He's settled in Boston. He's happy there. Sophia nodded without looking up. I know. I'll fight for weekends and summers, and holidays. I want him to have both of us. Ryan exhaled. We'll figure it out. Through lawyers. Clean. I watched Noah ahead, bending to examine a shell. He's a bad boy. He'll be okay as long as the adults act like adults. Sophia finally met my eyes. I never wanted to hurt him, or Ryan, or you. I thought I could handle Victor alone. I was wrong. I didn't soften the truth. You were. But you're owning it now. That counts for something. We walked in silence a while longer. The path curved past a small marina, boats bobbing gently. Noah called us over to show a crab scuttling under a rock. We crouched together, watching it sidestep into the water. Ryan cleared his throat. Mom, thank you for coming, for seeing what I couldn't. I touched his arm. You're my son. I'd cross oceans for you. He swallowed hard. I know.
We turned back toward the hotel. Checkout was at 11. The next ferry left at 1. We packed in quiet efficiency, Noah folding his whale carefully into his backpack, Sophia zipping her suitcase with hands that no longer trembled, Ryan carrying everything to the lobby. At the front desk, Ryan paid the bill. I stepped outside to call Margaret. He's in custody, she confirmed, confessed to planting the note, said he wanted to expose the fraud and get his 50 grand, claims he never intended violence, just leverage. Jury will decide that, but he's done running. I leaned against the railing, watching gulls wheel over the harbor. Thank you, Margaret, for everything. You'd do the same for me. Get home safe, hug that grandson. I hung up. The drive to the ferry terminal was short. We boarded the fast boat this time, 1 hour, 40 minutes. Noah sat between Ryan and me, pointing out islands as we pulled away from the dock. Sophia sat across the aisle, staring out the window, lost in thought. Halfway across, Ryan moved to sit beside her. They spoke in low voices. I didn't eavesdrop, but I saw her hand reach for his, saw him let her take it, saw the small nod he gave. Not forgiveness, not yet, but a beginning. We docked in Hyannis under full sun. The parking lot was warmer than when I'd left. My Subaru waited like an old friend. We transferred luggage, buckled Noah in, and started the drive north. The highway stretched ahead, Cape Cod Canal bridges, then the long, straight shot toward Boston. Noah fell asleep in his car seat, head lolling against the window. Ryan drove. Sophia rode shotgun. I sat in back with Noah, watching the landscape slide by. At one point, Ryan glanced in the rearview mirror. Mom, what happens now? I thought about it. Now we go home. We let the lawyers handle the rest. We get Noah into counseling if he needs it. We rebuild, slowly. He nodded. And you? I'll be right here. Same house, same porch, same pot roast when you need it. Sophia turned slightly. Eleanor, I don't expect forgiveness, but I hope someday you can look at me without seeing the lie. I met her gaze. Someday, maybe. Keep showing up for him. That's the start. She nodded, turned back to the road. We reached Newton just after dark. Streetlights glowed amber on the quiet block. Ryan pulled into my driveway, cut the engine. Noah woke, blinking. We're home? Almost, Ryan said. Grandma's first. I got out, hugged Noah tight. See you tomorrow, sweetheart. School night, early white time. He hugged back. Love you, Grandma. Love you more. Ryan walked me to the door. Thank you, again. I squeezed his hand. Get some rest, all of you. He nodded, returned to the car. I watched them drive away, taillights fading down the familiar street. Inside, the house smelled of yesterday's coffee and quiet. I locked the door, hung my coat, went to the office.
The manila folder still sat on the desk. I opened it, looked at the photograph one last time. Sophia and Victor, arms linked, courthouse steps behind them. Then I tore it in half. Again, until the pieces were small enough to scatter in the trash. I closed the folder, slid it into the bottom drawer. The secret was out. The warning had been heeded, and for the first time in weeks, the house felt like home again. October slipped into November the way autumn does in New England, slowly at first, then all at once. Leaves turned crimson and gold, then drifted to the curb in wet piles the city trucks swept away before dawn. The air carried wood smoke and the faint promise of snow. Life in Newton resumed its quiet rhythm, but the echoes of Nantucket lingered like a bruise that hadn't quite faded. Ryan filed for full custody of Noah within 2 weeks of our return. Sophia didn't contest it. She signed the agreement in a lawyer's office downtown, tears streaking her mascara, but her signature steady. Joint legal custody, primary physical with Ryan during the school year, summers and every other holiday with her. Noah would spend weekends in her small apartment in Cambridge, the one she'd rented after moving out of Ryan's house. She got a job at a bookstore near Harvard Square, part-time, flexible hours. She told Ryan she wanted to prove she could stand on her own. I didn't see her often those first months. When I did, it was at drop-offs or pickups, quick exchanges in driveways under porch lights. She always looked smaller than I remembered, thinner, quieter, but her eyes still held that same quiet determination I'd once mistaken for grace. Victor Lang's case moved faster than anyone expected. The Barnstable County DA pushed hard. The blackmail charges stuck like glue. The wedding security footage, the envelope with my initials, the burner phone records, Sophia's saved voicemails, all of it painted a clear picture. He pleaded to felony extortion and misdemeanor trespassing. The judge sentenced him to 18 months in a medium security facility on the Cape, with 3 years probation after release. No contact orders for all of us, including Noah. Ryan attended the sentencing. He told me later that Victor didn't look at him once, just stared at the floor, shoulders hunched, like a man who'd finally run out of moves. The life insurance policy was canceled the week we got back. Paul Whitaker called Ryan personally to confirm the paperwork cleared. No payout, no lingering shadow. Ryan shredded the old beneficiary forms and started a new 529 for Noah. College money. No strings, no beneficiaries listed yet. Noah adjusted better than any of us expected. He started seeing a child therapist twice a month. Play therapy, mostly drawings and games that let him talk without words. He drew a lot of dragons those first sessions, big ones with fire and wings. Later, the dragons got smaller, then disappeared. He started asking questions instead. Why did Mom lie? Why did the man hate Dad? The therapist told Ryan to answer honestly but simply. Kids need truth, she said, just not the whole avalanche at once. One Saturday in early December, Ryan brought Ryan over for lunch. Snow had dusted the lawn overnight, the first real fall. Noah ran straight to the backyard to build a snowman, mittens already soaked. Ryan and I watched from the kitchen window while I stirred hot chocolate on the stove. He's doing okay, Ryan said. Really okay. He misses her, but he's not scared anymore. I poured the chocolate into mugs, added marshmallows for Noah. And you? Ryan shrugged. Angry some days, sad others. Mostly tired. But I'm sleeping again. That's something. I handed him a mug. You'll get there. He took a sip, stared out at Noah rolling a snow body across the yard. Sophia asked if she could come for Christmas, just for a few hours, said she wanted to see him open presents here, with us. I told her I'd think about it. I raised an eyebrow, and I'm leaning toward yes, for Noah, not for her, not yet. But he deserves both parents on Christmas morning, even if they're in different rooms. I nodded. That's fair. Noah burst through the back door, cheeks pink, snow clinging to his eyelashes. Grandma, the snowman needs a hat. I laughed, grabbed one of Tom's old fedoras from the hall closet. We went outside together, Ryan and I helping Noah stick carrot arms and coal eyes. The snowman ended up lopsided, scarf trailing, but Noah beamed like it was perfect.
That afternoon, after Ryan and Noah left, I sat on the porch steps with a blanket around my shoulders, watching the neighborhood settle into dusk. Streetlights flickered on, windows glowed yellow. A car drove past slowly, headlights cutting through the blue twilight. My phone buzzed. Sophia. Thank you for letting Ryan consider Christmas. I know it's not easy. I'm trying to be better. For Noah. For all of us. I stared at the message a long time. Then I typed back. He's thinking about it. For Noah. Keep showing up. I hit send. No forgiveness in those words. No warmth. Just truth. The weeks before Christmas passed in a quiet rush. Baking cookies, stringing lights on the tree, wrapping presents in the living room while old carols played low on the radio. Ryan brought Noah over most weekends. We decorated gingerbread houses, watched holiday movies, made lists for Santa. Noah's handwriting had improved. His letters to Santa were careful, blocky. A new Lego set, a soccer ball, and for Mom to be happy again. Christmas Eve arrived cold and clear. Ryan called that morning. She's coming. 2 hours. Dinner, presents. Then she leaves before bedtime. Noah asked for it. I said yes. I exhaled. I'll set an extra place. They arrived at 5. Sophia carried a small gift bag. Nothing extravagant, just books and a stuffed reindeer for Noah. She wore a simple red sweater, hair tucked behind her ears. When she stepped inside, the house smelled of pine and cinnamon. Noah ran to her. She knelt, hugged him tight, whispered something in his ear that made him smile. Ryan stood in the doorway, arms crossed. Not hostile, just watchful. Dinner was turkey, mashed potatoes, green beans, the same recipes I'd used for 40 years. Conversation stayed light. School projects, the snowman contest at Noah's school, how the Patriots were doing this season. Sophia laughed at Noah's jokes, asked Ryan about work. He answered, short, but civil. After dinner, we moved to the living room. The tree lights twinkled, presents piled underneath. Noah tore into his first one, a Lego spaceship from me, then another from Ryan, then one from Sophia, a picture book about a boy and his dragon. She watched him open it, eyes shining. I thought of the dragons you used to draw, she said softly. Noah hugged her. Thank you, Mom. We let him stay up until 9, playing with new toys on the rug. Then bedtime. Ryan carried him upstairs. Sophia and I stayed below, the silence thick, but not uncomfortable. She spoke first. I'm seeing someone, a counselor, twice a week. It's helping. I nodded. Good. I don't expect anything from you, Eleanor. I know what I did, but I want you to know I'm sorry. Not just words. I'm trying to live it. I looked at her, really looked. A woman who'd stood at my son's side in a rose garden, who'd lied to protect a secret, who'd almost lost everything, and who was still here, fighting to keep what mattered. I hear you, I said. Keep fighting. She nodded, wiped her eyes. Ryan came back down. He's asleep, Whale tucked under his arm. Sophia stood. I should go. Ryan walked her to the door. They stood there a moment, awkward. Then she hugged him, quick, careful. He let her. Then she was gone, taillights disappearing down the snowy street. Ryan closed the door, leaned against it. That was okay? I smiled faintly. It was. We cleaned up in quiet tandem, plates in the dishwasher, wrapping paper in the trash, leftover pie wrapped for tomorrow. Before he left, Ryan hugged me at the door. Merry Christmas, Mom. Merry Christmas, sweetheart. He drove away with Noah's new toys in the back seat. I locked up, turned off the tree lights, left the porch light on. Upstairs, I paused at the guest room door. Noah slept soundly, one arm flung out, peaceful. I went to my own room, slipped under the covers. Outside, snow began to fall again, soft, silent flakes against the window. The secret was gone. The warning had been answered, and for the first time in months, the house felt whole. Not perfect, but whole. Winter held on longer than usual that year. Snow piled against the porch rails into March, melting only in slow, reluctant drips when the sun finally broke through in late April. The maple in the front yard budded lettied, but when it did, the leaves unfurled a bright, hopeful green. By May 2026, the neighborhood smelled of cut grass and lilacs, and life had settled into something that felt almost ordinary again. Noah turned 8 in April. We celebrated with a backyard party, balloons tied to the fence, a bounce house rented from a place in Watertown, chocolate cake with too much frosting. Ryan grilled burgers. Sophia brought homemade lemonade and a piñata shaped like a soccer ball. She stayed the whole afternoon, laughing when Noah blindfolded himself and swung wildly at the paper ball. When it burst, candy rained down and the kids scrambled like pirates after treasure. Sophia knelt in the grass, helping Noah collect his share, her sundress dusted with dirt. Ryan watched from the grill, spatula in hand, expression unreadable, but not angry. After the last guest left and Noah crashed on the couch with a sugar crash, the 3 adults sat on the porch with iced tea. The sun dipped low, painting the sky in soft oranges and pinks. Ryan spoke first. He had a good day. Sophia nodded. He did. Thank you for letting me be here. Ryan looked at her, longer than he used to. He asked for you specifically, said it wouldn't be a birthday without Mom's lemonade. She smiled faintly. I'm glad. I watched them from my rocking chair, the same one Tom and I used to sit in on summer evenings. The silence wasn't strained anymore. It was careful, but it was comfortable. How's the bookstore? I asked Sophia. Busy. I'm managing the children's section now. Story time on Saturdays. Noah comes sometimes, helps me read to the little ones.
Ryan raised an eyebrow. He didn't tell me that. Sophia shrugged. He likes the secret, says it's our thing. Ryan huffed a small laugh, the first real one I'd heard directed at her in months. We talked until the mosquitoes came out. Sophia stood to leave. Noah woke just long enough to hug her goodbye. She kissed his forehead, whispered something that made him giggle, then turned to Ryan. See you next weekend? Drop off at 10? He nodded. 10 works. She looked at me. Inayanar. Good night, Sophia. She drove away in her little blue hatchback, taillights soft in the twilight. Ryan lingered on the porch after she left. Noah was back inside, sprawled on the couch with his new Lego set. She's different, Ryan said quietly. She's trying, I replied. He rubbed the back of his neck. I know. Part of me still waits for the other shoe to drop. But she hasn't. Not once since Nantucket. I reached over and patted his arm. Trust takes time. You don't have to hand it over all at once. He nodded. I'm thinking about dating again. Not serious, just coffee. Someone from work asked me out last week. My heart gave a small, surprised lift. And? I said maybe, after the custody mediation next month. Don't want to confuse Noah. Smart. He glanced inside at his son, head bent over bright plastic bricks. He's okay, Mom. Really okay. I know. Ryan left soon after, promising to call about Memorial Day weekend. I locked up, turned off the porch light, and went inside. The house was quiet, the kind of quiet that feels earned. I sat at the kitchen table with a cup of chamomile and opened the junk drawer, the one where odds and ends collect like memories. At the bottom, under old receipts and spare keys, was the torn photograph I'd thrown away months ago. The pieces had somehow migrated back together, taped crudely with clear Scotch tape. Noah's handwriting on the back in crayon. For Grandma. So you remember we're safe now. I stared at it a long moment. The courthouse steps, Sophia's younger face, Victor's arm through hers. Then I carried the pieces to the fireplace in the living room. It hadn't been lit since winter, but the grate was clean. I set the photo down, struck a match, and watched the edges curl and blacken until nothing remained but ash. The next morning, Noah came over early. Ryan had an early meeting. Sophia was working story time. Noah and I made pancakes, Blue Mary, his favorite. While they sizzled, he sat at the counter, swinging his legs. Grandma? Yes, sweetheart? Do you still hate Mom? I flipped a pancake, careful not to let it burn. I never hated her. I was angry, very angry, but hate's a heavy thing to carry. He nodded slowly. Dad says she made a big mistake, but mistakes can be fixed if you try hard. He's right. Do you think she's trying hard enough? I slid the pancakes onto his plate, added syrup and a smiley face. I think she is, and I think that's what matters.
He ate thoughtfully. I want us to have a family picnic, all of us, like before. I sat across from him. We can do that. Memorial Day, the park by the river. You, me, Dad, Mom. Maybe even Mia and Ethan if they're around. His face lit up. Really? Really. He hugged me, sticky syrup on his cheek. You're the best, Grandma. You're the best grandson. Memorial Day came bright and warm. We met at the Charles River Reservation, blankets spread under a big oak, cooler packed with sandwiches, fruit, lemonade Sophia brought again. Mia and Ethan joined this time. They'd been distant at first, but had warmed to Noah over the months. They played frisbee while the adults sat on the grass. Sophia wore sunglasses, hair in a loose braid. She passed me a glass of lemonade. Extra ice, the way you like it. I took it. Thank you. We watched the kids run, listened to the river lap against the bank, the distant hum of traffic like white noise. Ryan leaned back on his elbows. This feels normal. Sophia smiled softly. It does. I looked at them both. Normal's good. Normal's what we fought for. Noah ran over, out of breath, holding a dandelion. Grandma, make a wish. He blew the seeds into the air. They floated like tiny parachutes. I closed my eyes. Let this last. Let them heal. Let the past stay past. When I opened them, Noah was grinning. What'd you wish? Secret, I said. He giggled and ran off again. Sophia looked at me. Eleanor, I know I can't undo what happened, but I'm grateful. For this. For you letting me be part of it. I met her gaze. You're Noah's mother. That doesn't change. The rest, we'll keep building. She nodded, tears shimmering but not falling. Ryan reached over, squeezed my hand once, then let go. The afternoon stretched lazy and golden. We ate, laughed, packed up as the sun dipped. Hugs goodbye. Sophia's quick but warm. Ryan's steady. Noah's fierce. Driving home alone, windows down, radio low, I felt something shift inside me. Not forgiveness in full bloom, but the soil ready for it. The road stretched ahead, familiar curves, familiar trees. The secret under the table had cracked everything open, but from the cracks, something stronger had grown. Family. Not perfect, but real. And that was enough. 1 year to the day after the wedding, September 2026 arrived soft and golden, the same crisp New England light that had bathed the rose garden at Willow Creek. I didn't plan to go back. Too many memories layered on that lawn. Laughter, vows, the hidden envelope that changed everything. But Noah asked, Grandma, can we have a picnic there? Like a family thing, to remember the good parts. He was 9 now, taller, voice a little deeper, but still the same watchful boy who tugged my sleeve under the table. Ryan hesitated when Noah brought it up, but Sophia said yes immediately. If it helps him close the circle, she told Ryan over the phone, let's do it. So we went. The country club hadn't changed much. The roses were still blooming, a little later this year, their scent heavy in the warm afternoon air. We reserved the same lawn area, smaller now, just us. No band, no cake, no 200 guests. Just blankets spread under the big white tent, a cooler of sandwiches, lemonade in glass bottles, and a chocolate sheet cake Noah insisted on, because birthdays aren't the only days for cake. Mia and Ethan came too. Mia home from her first year at college, Ethan a junior in high school now, both taller and quieter than I remembered. They sprawled on the grass with phones at first, then put them away when Noah dragged them into a game of tag. Ryan and Sophia sat on opposite sides of the blanket at the start. They didn't touch, didn't lean close, but the space between them had shrunk over the months. No more rigid shoulders, no more averted eyes. They talked about ordinary things. Noah's soccer schedule, Mia's dorm drama, Ethan's upcoming driver's test. Small talk that felt monumental because it existed at all. I watched from my folding chair, sun hat shading my face, hands folded in my lap. The envelope was long gone, ashes in my fireplace, memory only. But sometimes I still felt the tug on my sleeve, heard Noah's whisper in the quiet moments. Noah ran over, sweaty and grinning, holding a dandelion he'd picked from the edge of the lawn. "Grandma, make a wish." I took the flower, closed my eyes. The same wish I'd made every time since Nantucket. Let them stay safe. Let them stay kind. Let the past stay buried. I blew. Seeds floated away on the breeze. Noah plopped down beside me. "Would you wish this time?" "Same as always," I said, "for all of us." He leaned against my arm. "I like coming here now. It doesn't feel scary anymore." I smoothed his hair. "Good." Sophia approached slowly, carrying 2 glasses of lemonade. She handed one to me, then sat on the blanket near Ryan, not next to him, but close enough that their knees almost touched when they shifted. "Thank you for today, Eleanor," she said quietly. "I know it wasn't easy for you to come back." I sipped the lemonade, extra ice, just right. It wasn't, but Noah asked, and he's worth it. She nodded. He is. Ryan looked at her then, really looked. "You've been consistent. The visits, the calls, showing up even when it's awkward. I see it." Sophia's eyes shimmered. "I'm trying to earn the trust back, one day at a time." He didn't respond right away, just nodded once. The afternoon drifted. We ate cake, played cards on the blanket, watched the kids chase each other until they collapsed in giggles. As the sun lowered, turning everything amber, Ryan stood and walked to the spot where the head table had been that day. He stared at the grass for a long moment, then turned back to us. "I used to think this place was cursed after what happened," he said. "But it's just grass, just a lawn. The bad stuff happened because of people, not because of here." Sophia stood too. "And the good stuff too. The vows we said, they weren't all lies. Some of them were true, even if the timing was wrong." Ryan exhaled. "Maybe." Noah ran over, tugging Ryan's hand. "Dad, can we take a picture? All of us?" Ryan looked at Sophia. She nodded. They gathered, Ryan and Sophia on either side of Noah, Mia and Ethan flanking them, me in the middle like the anchor. Ethan set his phone on timer. We smiled, real smiles, not forced. The shutter clicked. Later, when the kids were chasing fireflies that had appeared early, Ryan and Sophia walked a little apart, talking low. I didn't strain to hear. Whatever they said was theirs. Noah found me again, firefly cupped in his hands. "Grandma, look." The glow pulsed green between his fingers. "Beautiful," I said. He opened his palms. The firefly lifted, spiraled upward, disappeared into the dusk. "Remember when I caught one at Nantucket?" he asked. "I do. That was the night everything stopped being scary." I pulled him close. It was. We packed up as the sky darkened, blankets folded, cooler stowed, cake box tied with string. Ryan carried the last load to the car, while Sophia helped Noah find his lost soccer ball in the grass. She came back to me before leaving. "Eleanor, I don't know if I'll ever hear you call me daughter-in-law again, and that's okay, but I hope someday you'll call me friend." I looked at her, really looked. The woman who'd stood under false vows, who'd hidden a secret that almost destroyed us, who'd fought to rebuild what she'd broken. "Maybe," I said. "Keep showing up. We'll see." She smiled, small, grateful. "I will." They drove away first, Ryan's SUV, taillights red against the twilight. Mia and Ethan followed in Ethan's beat-up Jeep, music thumping low. I stayed a moment longer, standing alone on the lawn. The tent lights glowed softly. Roses nodded in the breeze. Somewhere in the distance, laughter echoed from another event, another wedding, another beginning. I walked to the spot where the head table had stood, bent down, touched the grass. No envelope taped underneath now. Just earth. Just time. I straightened, took one last breath of rose-scented air. Then I walked to my car. The drive home was quiet. radio off, windows cracked. The city lights of Boston appeared on the horizon like stars fallen to earth. When I pulled into the driveway, the porch light was on, timer set years ago by Tom. I unlocked the door, stepped inside. The house smelled of home, wood polish, faint lavender from the candle I'd left burning that morning. I went to the kitchen, made tea, sat at the table. My phone buzzed. A group text from Ryan.
Photo attached, all of us under the tent, smiling, Noah in the middle, arms wide. Caption, 1 year later, still here, still family. I smiled, typed back, still family. Then I set the phone down. Upstairs, I paused at the guest room, Noah's room when he stayed. The bed was made, Whale tucked against the pillow. I closed the door softly. In my own room, I opened the window. Cool night air slipped in, carrying the scent of fallen leaves and distant rain. I lay down, pulled the quilt up. No more whispers under tables, no more hidden notes, just the quiet sound of a house settling for the night. And somewhere deep inside, the smallest tug, not fear this time, gratitude, for the warning that saved us, for the family that endured, for the life that kept going, one ordinary, beautiful day at a time. I closed my eyes, and for the first time in a long time, sleep came easy.